Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going over nail stamping and water transfers. I've chosen this design just because I liked it and I thought it was a cute design. So some of the products that we're going to need today as far as the polishes, I'm going to be using this OPI Infinite Shine. We're going to use the dark blue, the white for underneath the water transfer. You're going to need the top coat and the base coat. This particular polish has its own top coat and base coat that it needs to set the polish. We're also going to be using this blue stamping polish by Nicole Diary. Before you prime your nails, I've already done one hand for you. I'm gonna show you how to do the other hand. Before you prime your nails, you might want to use something like a chip skip, or you can actually just use an alcohol to remove the oils off of your nails. And that's just gonna prep your nail and get it ready for the design. I also use these little lint-free pads, although sometimes they do have some lint on them, but they're pretty good. So you just take your alcohol and just clean your nail. Make sure that you have any kind of oil or anything that you would take off of your nail. I also, it's not very fancy, but I do like to just polish right on top of some paper towels. That way when you're stamping, you can just wipe things off and it makes it really easy. So first you're gonna start with your base coat and you're gonna use and cover each nail with a base coat to protect your nail and help the polish adhere to the nail and last a little longer. Now, some people ask me, do you have to have certain kinds of polishes? No, not really. You can use anything you already have. Start with what you have and you can always build on your supply and the types of polishes that you like. So it doesn't take very long for the top coat, for the base coat to dry. That only takes a few seconds. Then you're going to start and apply a coat of blue on each nail that you want the blue. And it doesn't really have to be perfect at first because I'm going to show you how to clean up around your nail. I'm going to skip that little ring finger because we're going to accent that in white so that the water transfer will carry through. I usually like to do 2 coats of the polish. So that'll be a nice dark color. If you mess up like I did right there, you can take a little wooden tool, bobby pin, or whatever you have to kind of just scrape off the extra. And then you can clean up later around the edges. And as you see, I just knocked that. But that's okay because we're going to go back with another coat, remember? So I like to give it a little break in between and also give it a chance to dry. I'm going to do the white polish. Now while the white is drying, I'm going to go back and do another coat of the blue. Once these base coats are polished, you will need to put a top coat. This particular brand has to use this particular top coat. However, if you're using a regular polish, you could just use a fast drying top coat to set your polish. Now, sometimes certain top coats can affect the stamping and can make it a little bit harder for the stamping design to set on the nail. If you see that's happening, you can try to stamp your design before you put the top coat. I like to put the top coat because it does allow you, if you make mistakes, sometimes to pull it off. I did forget to put a second coat on that white nail, so I'm going to go back and do that right now. The white actually doesn't have to be totally perfect because you're going back on top of it with that water transfer. So it's just to actually give your water transfer a little more pop and to get the design. Okay, we're gonna let that dry and I'll be back. Okay, and we're back, and I did a little bit cleanup around my nails, but I'll show you how to do that after we're done. So right now we're going to begin the stamping and the water transfer. I'm going to be using this plate right here with this stamping design. And I did try to center the little stars inside the nail. You don't have to always center it. You can use it in different angles and different places. You do need a little stamping scraper. You can actually use a credit card, any kind of little hard firm surface like this. This one has a little flexibility to it. I will be using a clear jelly stamper. I did choose this one because I wanted to line up that star, and it does allow you to see into the design. However, I find the secret to being successful with stamping is having a variety of stampers. I probably have about 8 different kinds of stampers, because some plates, depending if it is a strong, firm cut, you can use this type of stamper. But if it's a cut that's real shallow, sometimes you actually need a soft stamper. Sometimes you need a more firm stamper. It helps to have a variety of stampers. But today I'm going to use this stamper. So we're going to start with the stamping polish. You don't need much, but you do want to cover your design. Some people use a little less. Some people use more. I always like to just make sure that my design is getting covered. And you want to scrape across. You want to scrape firmly, but not too firm. And that's why I said I like to use the paper towel. So you just can either roll it is one method. And I didn't catch this end of it, but that's okay because my nail is not that long. And I can always use this one on my little pinky nail. So you're gonna look it over, line it up, and press it down. And pull it over. And that's the stamp on that nail. Now, some people like to do 2 or 3 passes on this before they clean it. Actually, if you want to get a really good design, it's really best to clean your plate each time. You just put a little remover on the pad and wipe it. And then you can clean your stamper in a few different ways. One way is you can take the same pad and just gently swipe it over. That kind of doesn't have enough on it, so I'm going to get some more. Swipe it on top of your little stamper. That's one way, and I'll show you another way in just a moment. So you're going to take your stamper and you're going to put your plate and put some more on there. And you're going to do this each time for your nail. You can generally roll it off. There's a lot of different techniques, and we'll cover that in some other videos. But once again, I'm going to clean that stamping pad. I find that gives you the best design. Also, if you don't want to clean, some people don't like to put a harsh chemical on their stamper. So you can also use a lint brush and roll that stamping pattern off of your stamper. Every now and then, you may want to clean that little scraping pad. And you could just roll your design. That's a really good pickup, a good print. And what you have to get in the hang of, sometimes it's a matter of rolling your design, but sometimes not pushing too hard, and you have to just gently roll it on top. So once again, I'm going to clean that stamping pad, the stamper. Now another method, one more method you can use to clean this stamper is you can just use some Scotch tape and just put that right on top, and either way works, whatever works best for you. There's no wrong or right way of doing this. You just try different methods and see what is best for you. I use different methods at different times, just depending. Sometimes when you have a small design and you want to just clean up the stuff around it, you can use the tape to actually clean the smaller items before you put it onto your nail. This polish, I'm rushing it, wasn't quite dry enough, so it started to kind of shift, but that's okay. Now, some people like to, before they start, I should have mentioned, some people like to put some latex around their fingers in order to make the cleanup a little easier. I'm not so much a fan of that just because it takes a while. I actually find it's much easier to just clean it up with some Q-tips and a brush, but we will do that. I will show you some of that, and then I will finish the rest of the manicure. So if we want to clean up around the nails, you can get one of these or any kind of little bowl you have and put some remover into it. And then I just get the Q-tip and get the largest part off with the Q-tip. You don't want to rub your manicure, so be careful. Take your time. And yes, you don't want to. You're going to have to use several Q-tips because you want to clean it. And then after, I'm not getting right by my nail because we're going to go back with a paintbrush or a little paintbrush, and we're going to clean really close to the nail and clean it up. But you can see how light colors actually clean really easy with the Q-tip. So that's why I don't like dealing with the latex. However, if you are using like a red stamping polish or black, sometimes I have used the latex because it's a little harder to clean up. And that white, I knocked it and it started to lift up. But that's okay because the water transfer will go right on top of that. And I don't know why I chose to put a water transfer with this design. I've just done it in the past and just decided to do it today. But that's what's good about stamping. You can actually just do any design, try anything you want. You can put jewels on it, little rhinestones on it. You can do some solid nails, put some glitter, however you want to change your designs around. So I've got the most of this polish off of here, and it's pretty clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and clean up with a paintbrush to get the fine edges, because that's what makes your manicure really look pretty when you've got some nice clean lines. Also, if you're not very good at painting nails, and sometimes you may come a little bit over or over the edge, you can also use this technique by taking your paintbrush and dipping it in some remover and just gently going around the edges and cleaning. Even right here, I can clean up a little. And you're going to clean the edges and give it those nice pretty lines, and people will think that you are just an expert painter and don't make any mistakes, which we all make mistakes, but that's okay. Always remember to catch underneath the nail right here, because that also gives you a really nice manicure. See right here I have some blue under my nail, and that's, I'm going to clean it and make it look really good. You can always come back later if you see more. Okay, so those are done. And what I'm going to do is right now, before we do the water transfer, I'm actually going to put, no, I think I am going to actually do the water transfer and give this stamping polish a little bit longer to dry It doesn't smear very much, and I'll show you the technique to get that not to smear in just a few minutes. But let me put that water transfer on there. And what I mean by water transfer, I've actually cut out the one that I used on here. But you can purchase these. They're just on a sheet of paper, and they usually come like maybe 50 in a pack, or you can get the long sheets with several of them on there. So you can either do the whole manicure with this, or I actually chose to just do the stamping and just to accent with the little butterfly. So what you want to do is you want to take this and you want to cut out the design that you want. These are a little tricky at first until you get used to them. The first time I did them, I hated them, said I was going to throw them all in the garbage. But after I got used to it, it's much easier. You need a bowl of water. It doesn't have to be this big, but it can be any amount. Always remember to peel. It comes with a little layer, and you want to peel that layer off of there and just remove that. So you're going to also put this into the water. And it's got to soak in there for a few minutes. You can just push it down with your, not really a few minutes, a few seconds. But you can push it down with your tweezer. Sometimes I use this tweezer. I have longer ones, just depending on how I feel like gripping it. Sometimes water transfers can be a little difficult to place onto yourself. They're much easier to put on other people, but it can be done, and it gets easier with practice. So I can test it and see if it's been in there long enough. It may, yes, it's starting to move on the paper. So that means it's actually been in there long enough. So I'm going to remove the water. I like to just dab some of the water off of there. And then this becomes the tricky part on yourself, because it's a little bit difficult to slide it off and get it on myself. It needs to soak a little bit more because it's not sliding off that easily. So if it doesn't come off the paper, that's probably because you don't have it soaked enough. So if you have like a friend in the house, or a roommate, or a daughter or something, you can just, oh, I was grabbing it, that's the problem. And there goes the problem. Sometimes on yourself, it can be a little difficult. But you just, and if it doesn't come out quite right on you, nobody's really going to notice. I mean, it's a little away from the edge right here, but then most people are not going to notice, and it'll be just fine. So once you have it on your nail, you need to put a top coat on it. Like I said, if I would be doing this on someone else, it would look a lot better, but it's kind of hard on one-handed to do it. So you put a top coat. Any top coat will work. I'm using the same one that I used on the polish. And the technique, best technique for this is you put a top coat. You have to put it relatively thick because you don't want to pull too much on the design, the pattern. So you're going to take it and you're just going to put, you really want to just glide it on top. It's okay if it goes over the edge, over here, and on the tip, go around, because you really want to put it all around the design so that you can separate it. You take your little tool and you actually just pull this away. Now, some people like to come right here, and you can pull some from here, or you can wait. Sometimes I prefer to just come back. I'm actually doing it with this, but I actually prefer to come back just with the brush and clean it up on the edge right here. But I am doing it with the tool just to show you for today that you can do this. Look at that little pretty design. Very cute. So once we're done with that, that's still drying, but you come back once again with your polish remover and your brush. And you're going to clean up on the edge. Always remember to get under your nail because there's some blue there, and that's gonna, you really want your manicure to look professional, so you want to clean up that edge. And always remember to come back and get this nice little, you want to try to see if you can get it kind of rounded. But if it's not perfect, that's okay too. So now our water transfer is on. The only thing I have left to do is to put the top coat on these other designs. Once again, if you do not want your stamping design to smear, the secret to that, and I learned it the hard way, is to put your top coat really pretty thick. You want to kind of just glide the top coat on top. You don't actually want your brush touching the design. So I have a good bit on my brush. You're going to kind of put a blob and then just kind of drag the blob across your design. See, no smear. If I were to have a little bit on this brush and drag it on my nail, your design would definitely be smeared. So you're going to use a little bit more than what you would normally use. You're going to put that drop on there and you're going to just glide it on top, not touching the design on every nail. Put the dot and then pull it across. It's okay if some goes on the edge of your nail, goes a little bit off. I'm off of the edge. That's all right. It won't hurt anything when it dries. Especially the thumbs. Sometimes you've actually got to dip that brush in there more than once. I'm trying not to, but you see this one right here? I don't know if you can see it. I actually was rushing and didn't put as much, and the design started to smear. So that's why these are beautiful. Did not smear because I used a good bit of top coat. So that is how you make this design, this pattern. And it's a design of stamping and water transfers. And this is the finished product. I think it's really cute. It's kind of fun. This hand actually came out a little bit prettier. This is an easier hand for me to do. This one actually came a little bit away. And that's also because I was using this firm stamper so that I could line up those designs perfectly. However, it doesn't always contour to the nail as easily as some other stampers. So sometimes you get that pattern that's a little bit away from the nail. But really, no one really cares if your design is perfect. They'll be quite impressed that you did this yourself, and they're gonna wanna know how you did it, and you can tell them that it's easy. So I've enjoyed showing you this nail pattern. Subscribe to my channel so that you can learn more tips on how to make your nails fabulous.